Okay guys, so here we are with Echo blower PB580T, and what I want you to look at is right here. This is the exhaust. Customer is a friend of mine. He said that it wouldn't start for him. I put some fuel in it, primed it up, and look what I found. There's fuel being shot out of the muffler. It's soaking wet, and it was spraying out like somebody got stabbed in the throat, and their vein was punctured. And it sprayed out so much that there's no fuel left. So let's see if we can show you again. A little fuel in there. Pump it up a few times. Put it back on. The fuel was squirting out like a fountain. Now I have it turned off. It won't start that way. I had to take it off choke and pull it until the fuel had cleared. So, what that tells me is that the carburetor has a needle and seat in there, and just like motorcycles that will run, but fuel leaks out of the carburetor when they're running. Fuel leaks out of the exhaust when they're running. My guess is, once again, the needle and seat probably are not closing correctly, or worn out, or there's dirt in there. And the fuel in these things is pressurized. So if you unscrew your fuel cap, you hear it go tss, because it stays pressured just like a chainsaw. And what it'll do is just keep feeding fuel. It'll keep the pressure on, and it can only go one place. So it goes through the carburetor into the piston, and then it squirts out the exhaust. So if you ever notice that happening, there is a spark arrestor on the muffler. You pull it a few times, 10 or 15 times, and clear the fuel so it's not squirting out anymore. The piston will push it out, and it'll push it out the exhaust. Once it's clear, once there's no fuel in there, not much, take it off choke, pull it till it starts, and that'll usually clear the problem. But if you leave fuel in it again, and the needle and seat's bad, it's going to do it again. In this case, with Echoes, you could get rebuild kits. Oftentimes the needle is very tiny, and if the seat portion has gone bad, if it's metal, you have to try to clean the seat. The point is, the carburetors for these things are usually 20-25 bucks if you buy them on Amazon. Buy a new carburetor, solve the problem. Rebuilding carburetors only works about half the time, especially on these little guys. But I've let it sit now for a minute. I want to see if it'll do it again. I was hoping to be able to get you close enough. There's the exhaust right there. I just want to see if it'll squirt out again. Now I can see it squirting out. I can see it squirting out. But I don't know if you can. There's not supposed to be any fuel squirting out there. And it's squirting out. So the carburetor needs to be rebuilt. But if you clear the problem by pulling it till most of it's out, I turned it back on, the on switch. That's fuel squirting out. It could be a couple other things. These backpack blowers, sometimes you'll burn up the piston rings, and that can allow fuel to go through, but your carburetor monitors how much fuel goes in. It's the mix, air and fuel. It sends the right amount of fuel for the right amount of air. And in this case, it's sending way too much. So my guess, the carburetor, I wouldn't try and rebuild it. It costs 15 or 20 bucks for the rebuild kit. And you can get a used one for 20, 30 bucks. And just replace it. But this video is for Mike, my buddy Mike. You guys have heard me talk about him on the channel before. And I wanted him to see what was going on. He said he went out, used it for the weekend. Then he went to pull start it and it wouldn't start. And I asked him if he'd turn the on-off switch on, messing with him. But yeah, he's got a bad carb. So thanks for stopping by. This is the Echo, like I said, PB580T. And it's a decent machine. I wouldn't say it's commercial. I'd say it's a homeowner commercial job. In other words, it's a homeowner model that they make look commercial. And they put plastic parts inside. But it's a decent little machine. It's done him well. And hopefully this video helps you too.